been on this planet for a good while now. Got stranded here a long time ago. I've had some visitors, none of which that even survived. Their technology is kind of denounced to me. I don't really understand it. But I use their technology to try to learn. It doesn't really help very much. I haven't really learned much, and frankly, I don't know if my level of education even compares to the other people in the world, or the other people in the galaxy. Whatever. Been here a long time, ever since I got stranded here when I was little. Father died on me, mother died on me. Family just doesn't exist. My own race abandoned me, they're probably dead now. But, who cares, right? I got a big fluffy green giant and some other things on this planet. They're all scared of me now, except for the big fluffy guy. I kind of cut off his ear on accident, though. He's probably mad at me about that. But, well, maybe one day I'll get off this godforsaken rock, because I know damn well I can't fly these spaceships. Naofumi Iwatani, on a planet isolated on his own, was searching for a way out. And one day that way out would fall upon his face. He'd see it and it would glimmer, it would glow, and it would begin to shine a yellow color, sending him to a brand new world. Yo, what is good, everybody? It's your boy Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me, and I am here. I am back with What If Naofumi was the legendary Saiyan hero. This is going to be part 1 out of 2. If you can tell by my voice, I am a little stuffed up. I have really bad allergies at the moment, so I'm kind of dealing with that. So bear with me. My voice might sound a little different, but I definitely wanted to record this for y'all. With that said, I'm not going to waste any more of your time, and let's just get right into the what if. Let's get it. Naofumi then appears in a brand new world. To the left of him, there were 3 other people. He didn't know who they were, and frankly, he hasn't seen people in a long time. He immediately walks over and begins analyzing these said people, and they're confused. Why the hell is he looking at them like that? And he just asks them what race they are, and they kind of take offense to this, but Naofumi doesn't really understand why they would. But he kind of just shrugs his shoulders, looking at them to see that they have a sword, a spear, and also a bow. Naofumi, on the other hand, doesn't have anything, just his tail. He looks back toward his tail to see that there's actually a gem in it, and it seems like that gem moves around his body. It will be on his tail, but then he can actually make it so it's at the middle of his back. He's confused. How the heck did this gem get in his body? He begins to kind of panic, but that's until these knights begin to approach their seemingly jail cell of some sorts, but they begin to explain that the king wants to speak with them, and they are the summoned heroes. So they listen, they follow along with the knights, and they approach the king. The king begins to explain to them why they were summoned here. Mankind is under siege of these things called the waves, a series of demonic invasions, and basically these are completely destroying their world and their country. And the other heroes say that they need compensation, that they better be paid properly. If not, maybe they'll become their enemies. Well, Naofumi doesn't really understand what's even going on, saying that he'll help the best he possibly can, and the king looks at him in confusion, seeing the tail, wondering who this person even is, and actually thinking that he might be a demi-human. How is a demi-human able to be summoned as one of the heroes? And he doesn't even have a shield. It must have been a fluke. He looks at him and tells him to leave immediately, that demi-humans are not of noble status, are not of hero status, and that he should leave right now. But Naofumi is confused at what he's talking about. Leave? He doesn't get it. But he commands Naofumi once again to leave immediately. Tons of knights begin to surround Naofumi and point their spears at him, and the other heroes argue about this and basically are trying to say that that doesn't make sense. Why would they just attack him? He hasn't done anything. But the king says that this is a false hero, that he needs to be kicked out. And the other 3 heroes, they aren't really man enough to do much. Naofumi gets kicked out, and his little stunt as a quote-unquote hero is kind of done. He's confused. Why did he just get kicked out like that? It feels just like what happened when he was a young child. Him and his father and his mother being kicked off of their own planet. For what? For what reason? Naofumi is at the moment pretty level-headed, and he just wanders off, wondering what he for one did, but also what he can do from here on out. So he begins to try his best to learn what's going on in this world, actually speaking with one weaponsmith by the name of Elhard. Elhard begins to explain to him that this world has basically statistical stat bonuses, and explains to him anything he possibly can about the world, and saying that the heroes supposedly have their own little leveling up system, in which Naofumi eventually, after some struggle, finds. He doesn't really understand it, but he only really understands fighting. He knows how to fight, he knows how to kill, and he's learned that through the planet that he was on, and this will be a good way to actually level up. He asks if maybe he can give him proper armor or different clothing. Maybe some better clothing than what he's wearing? He asks this, and he asks if he can somehow get some sort of martial arts gi, or maybe some Saiyan armor. And, well, he doesn't know what Saiyan armor is, but he says that he'll give him a martial arts gi. He actually has one in the back. He throws it to him, and he puts it on, it being green and this dark blue color. And he says that that doesn't have to be of any charge. He's actually heard the rumors of what happened, that he's some false hero, but Elhard says that he seems like a nice guy. There's no reason to be mean to him. And obviously Naofumi thanks him for this, and he heads off to go fight some monsters. Running into these small balloon-like animals, he's easily able to just grab them and smash them, killing them basically instantly, almost on impact, running around hitting more and more of these creatures, defeating them with relative ease. Naofumi and his Saiyan blood begins to boil. This want for a challenge, this want to just fight now. It's even stronger than it's ever been. He's never fought a true monster that could actually keep up with him. Frankly, he still hasn't in this world, but everything's so different. It's not like back on Vampa. It's not like back on that planet that has these monsters that just, for one, want to kill you, but are just disgusting. This is different. It's so much more peaceful, but at the same time, he still wants to fight them. He wants to fight the monsters. Maybe he could even fight the heroes. That would make him stronger as well. He begins blitzing through the forest, just destroying all the monsters, including the forest itself. It's practically just a flat land now. Naofumi stands there after the day is over, panting, tired from all the basically fighting he's done, but a smile is on his face. He's never felt so happy in his life. But that happiness won't last forever. It won't last at all. He goes and heads to this hotel room, but unfortunately he has no way of paying for it. He has no way of actually getting a room to sleep in, so he's forced to sleep outside, which doesn't necessarily matter to him, but he just rests, sleeps, and then he just hangs out. He sleeps amongst the monsters, in which they all fear him that are in the forest. Frankly, even if they try to kill him or hurt him while he's sleeping, Naofumi will handle it with ease, with relative ease at that, and he just relaxes, rests, and just waits for the day to basically complete. That's until he wakes up, feeling multiple guards grabbing him and pulling him away, and he breaks free with ease, looking at them, questioning why they're even putting their hands on him, and they say that he cannot be out here, that he has to leave the country now. But Naofumi refuses, saying that he's not doing anything to them, but they begin saying that he's hurting the wilderness. But Naofumi says that that's ridiculous, that sounds really dumb. The other heroes are basically killing monsters as well, aren't they? And the knights don't really have a rebuttal for this, but immediately point their spears at Naofumi. Naofumi just walks by them as if it was nothing, and they try to thrust their spears into Naofumi's back, but he slaps them away, shattering the spears entirely. He begins to walk by this this eerie looking underpass. And when he walks by, the knights begin to chase him, but just as they do, they're taken away, grabbed, dragged away, and murdered by this hound of some sorts, and dragged into this building and disposed of. A man walks out and introduces himself, begins explaining to Naofumi that he is the owner of this so-called slave market. Naofumi barely even knows what a slave is and questions what is that, and the man says that it's basically someone that will help you, work for you, and they don't really have a choice in it. Naofumi says that, well, obviously everything has to come with a price. He just tried to get into a hotel room but couldn't get in. So, I mean, what is his price? And he shakes his head. For you, my boy, nothing. Just follow me. I just need your attention. He walks with the slave market owner and he begins to look around, seeing monster after monster. But two people actually draw to Naofumi's attention, and that was the reason why the slave market owner brought him here. He points them out, saying they've been less than cooperative, and frankly nobody wants them anyways. He looks at both of them to see one of them, a woman with a tail, and another, a woman or a little girl with a tail and these raccoon ears. He looks at one of them and asks if what race she is and where she's from, and she says that she's a demi-human. But Naofumi is confused. I mean, he's not a demi-human himself. I mean, he's a Saiyan. Is she a Saiyan and she just doesn't know it? Or are they actually demi-humans in this world of some sorts? And he asks why would he just give those two to him? And the slave market owner says that he can tell that Naofumi is going to be useful in the future and he can pay him back later. And he's sure that he'll get the money in no time. Naofumi nods and says that he'll take them both, but the slave market owner begins to say that he will have to put a slave crest on them. But Naofumi shakes his head, saying that there's no reason to put a slave crest on two people that don't even want to cooperate, that don't even want to live. And he's shocked to hear this. Naofumi, of all people, is saying this. He seemed so hard-headed, so clueless to this world, but Naofumi says that he felt the same way at one point. He felt that there was no forcing somebody to do something that they knew that needed to be done to survive. So frankly, he knows that they'll cooperate, especially with him, especially because he's one of the heroes. They're both shocked to hear this, saying that they thought he was just another demi-human, and well, more the female Saiyan, or the female demi-human, the larger female demi-human, keeps saying this, but Naofumi is going to reference her as a Saiyan and even ask her name, and she begins to say that she doesn't have a name. And Naofumi begins to think, how does Kefla sound? Sounds like something that would be from my homeworld anyways, at least something right for a female Saiyan. And she nods, saying that that's just fine. She exits her cage, and Naofumi helps Raphtalia out of her cage as well and picks her up, asking if she's okay. She nods, basically scared that she'll be put away again, but the slave market owner does say that she has a cold, and frankly, if they're not careful, she may die soon. So Naofumi is going to make sure that she gets the cure that she needs, and asks how to even get that. And that is going to be through some medicine, but frankly, Naofumi doesn't have the proper money to do so. But with all of the killing and all of the, well, you can say destroying of the forest, he has plenty to sell. So he goes to a nearby shop and sells it all, getting not too much money, but a decent amount. And when they try to unfairly, well, charge him or make it so that he doesn't get much money out of it, he basically threatens them and says that they'll give him a fair price or else, eventually leading to them giving him that fair price. He trades in all his stuff for money, and then buys her the means of getting this proper antidote for her flu. A couple days pass, and she's actually feeling a lot better, and their training finally begins. But in this case, nobody is using a weapon. He even goes to Elhard, and Elhard suggests this for especially Raphtalia, and maybe even the other woman by the name of Kefla, but he says that no, that they will not learn how to use swords, that there's no reason to do such a thing. not when he's here. And they begin to train in the art of just fighting. Martial arts, brute strength. That's what he's trying to teach them. They can use their bare hands to fight. They don't need a flimsy sword. They can vaporize, basically destroy, snap swords in half. It doesn't matter. If you know how to use these, your fists, your whole body is a weapon. And he explains that from the very beginning. And their training begins. They're all sent around, dashing around, hitting things throughout the forest. And Naofumi even begins to fly around, in which at this level he's actually earned the skill of flight, but he doesn't know that. He just believes that he's slowly but surely learning how to use his ki of some sorts, something that all Saiyans were able to use back when he was, well, in his other world, and he begins trying to teach them how to use ki as well, in which it's a lot harder for them to learn, especially because Naofumi, for one, isn't the best teacher, but also he didn't technically just learn how to use ki. He leveled up to the point where he could use it, now being at a level of 25 very quickly. As a matter of fact, he is able to teach them how to use it, but frankly it's nothing perfect, especially nothing polished just yet. Raphtalia is able to struggle, hover, and well, Kefla is able to hover, like cleanly, but not able to fly. Ki blasts are a whole different thing. Naofumi barely uses them, but shows them off here and there, saying that his brute strength is just enough, and that it doesn't really matter if he can shoot ki blasts or not, but these could become very beneficial for them. So that's what they begin learning. Frankly, their levels don't really skyrocket during this time, especially because it's all just a learning curve for them. Naofumi, on the other hand, does level up a bit, and basically assists levels them up by killing things himself. He gives them levels as well, but they're only about level 5 and level 5, so it's not too big of a leap. With the problem of money coming about pretty quickly, and frankly him having to sneak around Melremark because everybody there for some reason doesn't like him, he has to actually ask Elhard about this, about what's the best way for him to get some money. Elhard begins to explain that there is a nearby village by the name of Village of Loot, or Loot Village, and they really don't have too much connection with the Melremark Kingdom, so they probably won't hate him there, or at least, hopefully. So he sends him off over there, and he arrives at Loot Village. When he does, he's actually greeted with relative, you could say, niceness. He actually explains his situation, and they're pretty good about it. They don't really mind actually letting him stay there for at least a couple days and pointing him in the right direction. Frankly, he can kind of work his debts off, so it wouldn't be too bad anyways. So him, Raphtalia, and Kefla head over to the nearby mine to hopefully make a nice little buck. When they head over there though, they begin mining and seeing that there is some good stuff here, but just as they think everything is peaceful, well, a two-headed monster dog appears, staring daggers into Raphtalia, freaking her out, making her jump backwards and scaring her completely. And Naofumi realizes that she must be fearful of this monster. Maybe it's because of this so-called wave? He's not too sure, but helps her up, saying that she has to face her fears and that this dog monster is nothing compared to them, that they can beat it if they work together easily, in fact. And Raphtalia is shaking. She doesn't know if she can actually do it, and Kefla and Naofumi basically tell her that she can't, that she just has to focus. She has to focus hard and make sure that she remembers her training. Anything she's been able to do so far, she's gonna be able to beat this monster dog right now, right here. And all three of them begin to charge at the monster dog, and Naofumi holds back a good bit. He knows that he can actually defeat this thing probably on his own, but he wants the training for them as well, and Raphtalia is able to land the final blow. But once she does this, all this pain and suffering begins to basically leave her. She's so happy. She seems very, very at peace with what just happened. Now she defeated the monster. Maybe it's not the same monster that killed her parents during the wave, but it damn well feels like that. Now she's somewhat at peace, and now she can go on with her training even more. Naofumi smiles, and so does Kefla, and he slams his fist into his hand, saying that it's time for the real training to begin, and now the training wheels will come off. For the next month, they begin leveling, preparing for this next so-called wave. But frankly, he's not around Melromark, or at least the kingdom, at all. They don't want him there, and he frankly doesn't care. So he decides to actually ask about some things. Ask about, well, other countries, if he can go there instead. And he's heard that there are other countries, and frankly, they have waves as well. He had no clue. He thought it was just Melromark, but he guesses that maybe every single country has them. So he decides that he's going to get some information from Elhard, in which he learns that there is a country nearby, and there's one by the name of Shield Frieden that supposedly does get waves, and maybe he can head over there for some actually better training, and frankly, they'll probably enjoy his presence a lot more. There's demi-humans over there, and they actually enjoy demi-humans, and they are like a family. So Naofumi decides that maybe it would be a good idea, but before he leaves, he basically wants to figure out when the wave is, and he talks to Elhard about that, and he says that the Dragon Hourglass will tell him that, but he's going to have to kinda sneak in, especially because they don't want him there. So his party just decides to just walk in. There's no sneaking in at this point. Frankly, him and his party are pretty confident. Raphtalia, basically a grown woman, and Kefla, who was already a grown woman, at a level of 25, and Naofumi at a level of 40. They're extremely strong and have techniques to back it up as well. Naofumi hasn't felt insane rage or anything like that, but it does rub him the wrong way that these people of this kingdom act the way they do. Not very heroic, not very nice at all for basically taking him out of his home world. Obviously, well, he was kind of on a deserted planet in the first place, so I guess this is nicer, but he doesn't really know how to handle his feelings in terms of this weird abandonment thing, this whole scornfulness that he gets from the kingdom. But he heads over to the Dragon Hourglass and looks at what time is left before the wave, seeing that there's only about 48 hours until that said wave. He heads out with his team, and the knights meet him once again, but he pushes past them even easier than before, basically telling them not to worry, that they won't be back in the kingdom anyways, that they have no use for this place anymore. So they head out and begin to fly toward Loot Village, and Naofumi helps them fly as well. Frankly, they haven't mastered it quite yet, but Naofumi has it pretty down-packed, and it's pretty easy. When he arrives at Loot Village, he begins to explain to them that they're going to take a visit in the next 7 to 8 hours to Shield Frieden, and then they'll come back and make sure that they are safe. That's kind of their main priority here. And, well, during this time though, they begin talking about what if they're not able to come back in time, that maybe they should leave someone here just in case. And Kefla actually decides to volunteer for this, saying that she'll be fine on her own, and frankly, she kind of needs some training. So she'll stay there, train up, and maybe they can head over to Shield Frieden and actually do the wave over there, if that's how the waves actually work. So Raphtalia and Naofumi head off flying away, as Kefla continues her training on the monsters in the forest and in various other areas before the wave begins. During this time, Naofumi arrives at Shield Frieden and is greeted by a couple noblemen who are shocked to see people flying in the sky. He explains that he was one of the heroes that were summoned, and supposedly he's not the proper hero they were hoping for. They look to see his tail and ask if he's a demi-human, and he begins to say that that's kind of what the others thought as well. The people in Melromark believed that he was a demi-human and actually cursed him away, more or less. And he nods, saying that sounds about right, and he apologizes that it happened to him. They ask if they're here to actually help them with the wave, and they realize that the timers are actually perfectly on par. The Shield Frieden wave is going to begin very, very soon, just as well. So they decide that they're going to stay there for the wave, and they basically just do extra training, finding good spots to actually do their training, asking around to see if there's any good places, and they find some decently high level areas. Some high level areas in terms of maybe level 30 monsters, and this training is very efficient, especially for Raphtalia, getting a decent amount of XP, getting up to a level of 32. Now both Raphtalia and Naofumi are bracing for the wave of Shield Frieden. The wave then begins. The skies begin to change, and they transport themselves immediately to the main boss of the wave. Seeing this boss to be some sort of manticore-like monster, a half lion, half scorpion type of monster, and it begins to try and stab both Naofumi and Raphtalia with its tail. Naofumi, easily able to dodge, smashes his fist into the face of the manticore, slamming it on the ground using its own tail. He immediately continues his assault, and Raphtalia follows up as well, shooting ki blasts at the monster, leaving substantial marks in the back of this manticore, eventually leading to Naofumi punching his hand through the head of the manticore, ripping it clean off, killing the main boss. They fly back to the area of Shield Frieden to see that the wave in their area is slowly but surely cleaning up. And Naofumi decides that he's going to take the reward that they're going to give him, which is a substantial amount of money, and they thank him profusely for all the help. Naofumi decides to head back to Loot Village to see what's going on. When he arrives, he sees that it's actually handled relatively easily, and Kefla was able to handle it practically with no sweat at all, but the wave is still not over. It seems like the other heroes are just messing around, in which Naofumi is annoyed by, but he just goes to make sure that Loot Village is secure and sound. When he arrives, everybody thanks Kefla, and he apologizes that he didn't come back, but actually the place he went to was under siege as well. Shield Frieden and other countries go through these waves, so he had to help them, and he couldn't just leave, and that would basically hurt his quote-unquote conscience. And they say that they completely understand, but the thought of leaving Kefla here actually did make them have great respect for Naofumi and the warrior race that he is. And it seems like him and Kefla are practically the same. It seems like their bloodline runs deep within their veins, and they love to fight, but at the same time they've found this drive to protect, in which Naofumi didn't even think about this. Frankly, he's never had the opportunity to protect anybody. He's kind of been alone for a while now, so the idea of protecting somebody is kind of out of the picture for him. But with all that over, the heroes get obviously treated to a state dinner, but Naofumi isn't invited. Him, Raphtalia, and Kefla decide that they're going to hang out at Loot Village and have their own little celebration, in which they do just that, and Naofumi goes out with Raphtalia to actually kill a wild boar, and they begin cooking it basically all together like a huge bonfire, killing multiple animals as well. Yes, the giant boar is going to feed a lot of people, but they do need some side dishes, you know? So he decides to get some more food, fish, anything that he can think of, and now they have a massive bonfire at Loot Village to celebrate the effective defeat of one of the waves. With all that said and done though, they actually are just hanging out at Loot Village, and Naofumi pays back his debts, giving him 1 gold coin, or the people there, the leaders there, 1 gold coin, and they're shocked to see that he gave them this much, saying that they did not need that much. He didn't owe that much, not even close. And Naofumi said that actually Shield Frieden gave him a good sum of money, actually 50 gold pieces, which is equivalent to something like 5,000 silver pieces, and which Naofumi says that he just wants to give back to the people that helped him, especially because he's never had help prior. And they're confused to hear this, saying that he hasn't been here for that long, what does he mean? And he says that in his world, he was alone on a planet that was basically desolate, destroyed, and frankly, there were just these monsters that were around. No human beings, no nothing, no people that were even coherent. He only had a giant green monster to really converse with, and well, even their relationship was kind of on the down. And he didn't really have anybody, especially since his mother and father passed from old age during this time. And they all kind of get emotional, but Naofumi doesn't. He's kind of like not really in depth with his emotions, and they're really sad to hear this and begin to apologize, saying that they wish it never would have happened to him. But Naofumi says that it's just part of his life. It's just one of those things that he had to do to survive, and he had to go through to actually end up being able to come to this world. And he says that even with the conflicts with Melremark, this place is a lot better than, well, his home world. And they all nod, but just as they begin to more or less comfort Naofumi, in which he kind of doesn't need the comforting, but just as they begin to comfort him, they begin to hear horses beginning to run over, and Naofumi looks over to see Motoyasu, Mine, and the rest of the knights claiming that Loot Village is theirs, and that it's now owned by Motoyasu based on royal decree. This pisses off Naofumi. He's seen people try and conquer worlds. His race was part of that. They tried to conquer world after world, and that's what it feels like. He walks over to them enraged, telling them to get off the land now because this isn't theirs and it's never going to be theirs. And Mine and Motoyasu disagree, saying that the royal decree says otherwise, and frankly Naofumi's not even supposed to be in this country. And Naofumi says that he'll be wherever he wants to be. It's not like they have any means to stop him. Naofumi getting even more frustrated, Raftalia has to calm him down. That's until Motoyasu makes a remark toward Raftalia and Kefla. Kefla says that he better watch his mouth or she'll pummel him herself, but Motoyasu says that, how about this? He'll fight Naofumi and whoever wins gets to keep the land. Naofumi rebuttals, saying he doesn't want the land. He wants it to just be owned by the people who already live here. And well, that battle is then confirmed, and they go out to basically a clean area, basically a flat plains area, and their fight is about to begin. Some shadows actually do appear and decide to watch the fight, standing right next to Mine, giving her a little note that seemingly is from the queen. Naofumi and Motoyasu and their fight then begins. Immediately, Naofumi blocks the spear. It's as if the spear is basically not there. He's able to disarm him immediately and land a crucial blow to the stomach, slamming Motoyasu to the ground as he begins to pummel his face in. Mine then blasts Naofumi in the back. As the shadows see this, the shadows are blatantly being able to see this, and everybody of Loot Village does as well, but she doesn't even care. Naofumi falls back and looks back at Mine and points a ki blast to her and shoots it right at her. Motoyasu is able to basically parry that said ki blast because of basically how weak Naofumi made it. He knows that Mine is not strong by any means, so he doesn't really need to put a ton of energy into that said blast, but this did give Motoyasu a way to defend against it. Naofumi rolls his eyes and continues his decimation of Motoyasu. This is not a fair fight by any means. Frankly, Naofumi just outclasses him in martial arts, in strength, in brute strength especially. Even without a weapon, Naofumi is keeping up with relative ease, and every single time he gets hurt, he's just getting stronger. As a Saiyan like him, he seems to be adapting, learning, finding new ways to fight people in an instant. Throughout their fights, the longer it goes, the stronger Naofumi seemingly is getting, and he's getting level after level. It seems like long fights that he's never really had are gaining him tons of levels, and he continues to get stronger. But the rage within him continues to build. He's getting more and more mad. The fact that Motoyasu, the kingdom, everybody besides his party and Loot Village can basically treat him like garbage and not even think about it twice. What is their problem with demi-humans anyway? What do they have against them? I mean, he's not a demi-human, he's a Saiyan. But the fact that they think he's a demi-human, leading them to basically call him a filthy animal, that he's nothing, that he's trash. This infuriates him. He is basically about to level Motoyasu, and he slams his fist on the ground, but Raftalia is able to restrain him slightly, getting him to calm down, and they basically tell Motoyasu that it's time to yield, unless he wants to die. And Motoyasu gets up, saying that the fight isn't over, pointing the spear at Naofumi as he goes to plunge it into him, and he pushes Raftalia away, and he grabs the spear himself and begins to bend it. He's shocked to see this. How the heck is the legendary spear bending right now? It's going to break? Naofumi has no intention of breaking it, and he doesn't even know if he can, but it seems like he can definitely alter it. He's bending it and turns it all the way to where it's pointing back at Motoyasu. His eyes begin to flare, and his stats boost up by 10 times. He just unlocked a new form that is known as the Ikari form, but this is different. It's something part of his skill set. It's in a way its own curse series. He looks to see that a new curse series has been unlocked, and it's called Ikari, the Ikari curse, and now he's channeling the power of a great ape within his base form, but he's losing control. His eyes are flaring and his body is moving on its own, more sloppy now, but more brute. He's now some brute that isn't even thinking, smashing his fist into Motoyasu. Every blow he's taking is shattering rib cages, is shattering arms. His body is being brutalized until he's thrown all the way toward the shadows, and the fight is stopped. Motoyasu basically says that he gives up, but Naofumi's not done yet. He goes to charge at Motoyasu once again, but two people are in front of him, Kefla and Raphtalia, and on top of that, the entire village of Loot is standing there, staring at him, telling him that it's okay, that he won, that there's no reason for him to fight now. He drops out of the form and immediately passes out. It seems like this had a very harsh backlash on Naofumi. His body wasn't ready to channel all the rage he just did, and now, well, you could say that he is extremely powerful. Powerful beyond belief. Frankly, they got lucky that he didn't go berserk. He goes berserk, everything will die. Everything around. Monsters, humans, demi-humans, anybody, villages, countries, the world could be gone in an instant if they're not careful. But Naofumi will now know this after his nice little nap of about a day and a half. He wakes up, and when he does, he begins to ask Raphtalia and Kefla what happened. They explain the power that he showed, and he looks to see a new curse series has been unlocked. It seems like the rage that he was built up based on, well, all the kingdom's hatred toward him. He wasn't used to this in the first place. Yes, he was sent away for some odd reason he wasn't sure about, but this hatred is right in front of him. A hatred that he cannot understand, and a hatred that he'll really never understand. With that said though, Naofumi knows that they need to do something, that they need to get their own business done and over with, and says that they should try to travel to new cities or new towns. They should learn of new people and their existence, and see if there's any people in Melremark that would be on their side and would enjoy their company. Frankly, he needs some new places to make money, and also, he can't just go over to Shield Frieden. He doesn't want to just abandon the people here. Maybe they can find new people, slaves, or party members that can actually post up in certain areas if trained properly. This idea is put in their head, but for now, it's nothing that they can really do, at least right at this moment. They decide to head off and basically visit some new places, but when they're flying, they actually spot a wealthy trader who's waving them down. Naofumi flies down and he asks for a ride. He understands that they kind of fly on their own, but Naofumi says it's fine. If he's not afraid of heights, he'll pick him up and fly. And he says that he's not at all, so they pick him up and begin to fly off to a nearby place, dropping the man off, and he says that he will teach Naofumi anything he possibly can, and that's learning new skills, introducing to him new contacts, and even giving him a warrant for a nearby mine, a quarry, and stuff like that. Nothing too dramatic, but this is going to give him a way to make some money as well. This is perfect. They continue their travels, and they're actually assigned a mission relatively quickly. The trader asks if he can actually take this herbicide to a nearby village, and Naofumi says that why not? He heads to the village with some herbicide, and actually is greeted by these villagers, and when he begins to speak with them, they talk about how there's this monstrous plant that is on the rise, and that the spear hero Motoyasu, who was trying to basically end their local famine, brought this seed, but when the seed sprouted, it came alive and began attacking the villagers. Naofumi rolls his eyes, and actually is surprised that Motoyasu is able to walk, bar none sabotage a village, but he tells them that he'll head out and actually handle this extermination process right now. So Naofumi and his party do just that. They head over to where the monster plant is and put the herbicide within the plant, but it seems like it just weakened the plant. So Naofumi and his party begin to obliterate everything and hoping that they can obliterate every last piece of it so that they cannot regenerate. After probably about an hour and a half, they're able to get every last piece, and it seems like this plant is no longer growing, which is definitely a positive. So Naofumi decides that he's going to actually implant some more herbicide just in case as well, because he wants to make sure that these plants don't just erupt and come back alive once again. So now that he knows for sure that, or at least mostly for sure, that these plants won't be coming alive anytime soon, he heads back to the village and explains that he handled all of what they said, and they thank him, saying that that he's honestly the best, and all these rumors that they've been hearing about this demi-human that is hurting people, it's just not true. Naofumi has been such a great help, and Naofumi just says that it's fine, to not worry about these so-called rumors. The whole village agrees and says that they're truly thankful for Naofumi visiting, and he says that it's no problem. The chances of him visiting another time, though, it may not be high. He might not visit again for a little bit, and Naofumi apologizes for this, but they say that it's fine, and they ask exactly why, but he explains that, well, people like him, or at least that's what it seems, aren't necessarily welcomed here. And they say that he's always welcomed at their village, but they understand what's going on. That it seems like the kingdom of Melromark is really against him even being here, and Naofumi nods, saying that he's going to clean up some messes that he hears is happening, and then he's probably going to head off pretty soon. They head off once again for another mission, quote unquote, but this time it's something simple, just to deliver this merchandise to a hot spring, in which Kefla, Raphtalia, and Naofumi just hang out, relax, and just have a nice, splendid time during their visit to this hot spring. The next day, though, they hear about something horrible. This disease. It seems like there's a mysterious disease that is spreading through a nearby village, and Naofumi and his party decide to go investigate. And when they arrive, they are told that this disease, it's hurting them really bad, it's causing them to be sick, and that it all started with when Ren, the sword hero, killed the dragon that's on the mountain. And Naofumi is shocked to hear this and immediately flies up to see this dragon that's decomposing, causing everything to basically die, creating this toxic-like area. And Naofumi and his party are basically there just to vaporize it, but once he goes to basically blast it, it begins to stand up. It begins to breathe fire at them, and they're able to dodge pretty quickly, and Naofumi lands a clean blow on the face of the monster, grabbing it and pinning it down to the ground. And Naofumi himself can feel the rage building up within this dragon. He's so mad. Even more mad than Naofumi. How could this even be? What happened to this guy? It seems like Ren is really on this dragon's mind. He wants Ren dead. That's all he wants. It seems like the whole zombification was practically anger and will itself to bring him back from the dead. And Raphtalia and Kefla, before they can really do much more, immediately slam their hands through this dragon, and eventually Naofumi is able to finish it off with a blast through the chest, killing the dragon. Well, kind of killing it. I mean, it was a zombie, but killing it once again and vaporizing it completely. But once they completely disintegrate the dragon, it seems like there's a gem that's left over. Naofumi grabs the gem. He can feel this power radiating from this gem, or this type of shard. He begins to analyze it, and it says that he can put it within the gem that's on him. So he asks Raphtalia to do that. He takes off his shirt, and she puts the gem into, or the shard into his gem, very awkwardly at the fact, because frankly Naofumi is clueless to the fact that both his party members have massive crushes on him. But he doesn't really even think about that. Frankly, he's kind of out of the loop. It's not like he would know. He doesn't have much interaction with females. Frankly, he doesn't have much interaction with other people in general. So he wouldn't even know this would be occurring. But he absorbs the shard, and when he does, he can feel the rage that he once had boil up within him again. It's as if he feels like the Ikari form is about to activate once again, but he's able to calm himself down and stop it, and the dragon within him begins to speak, speaking about the sword hero. All I want is Ren dead. That's it. And then I'll be rid of this. I don't care. All I seek is revenge. And I can feel it within you, Naofumi, that you want these people dead as well. Naofumi says that he doesn't actually want them dead. He just wants nothing to do with them. They've already caused enough hassle for him and enough worry, so there's no reason for him to even be around them. And the dragon agrees, saying that maybe they should just not help them at all. Naofumi rolls his eyes and says he's not going to take orders from a dragon, especially one that's dead. So him, Raphtalia, and Kefla begin to fly back to the capital. Maybe they can do something about this, but if they can't, well then they'll handle what they believe to be fit. So they head back toward the capital, but Raphtalia spots someone, a little girl, and she flies down first. Naofumi tells her not to do that because frankly they don't know who she is. But without hesitation, Naofumi follows down with her, and so does Kefla. They arrive, and the little girl is shocked to see 3 people that are flying, and she sees Naofumi, asking if they can accompany her to the capital, that she kind of got lost. And Naofumi rolls his eyes and says that it's fine, that he can take her really quick, but he's going to have to leave after because frankly they don't want him there in the first place. And Melty is kind of sad to see this or hear this, but doesn't give away her identity, at least not yet. He takes her to the capital, and when they arrive, Motoyasu, who is in tip-top shape again, or if you can really call it tip-top shape, frankly, he's kind of a bum, but in quote-unquote tip-top shape again, he begins to try and attack Naofumi, but just as he does this, guards arrive, and Melty tells them to stop. And Naofumi and his eyes grow wide, saying that that is definitely not what he expected. She begins to say that she apologizes. She didn't want to mislead him, but she also knew how much he didn't really like royalty, especially after what they did. She explains that she is Melty and that she is the second princess, the heir apparent to the throne, and that is her sister, Malty, someone that is actually older than her, but not the heiress apparent to the throne because of her toxic personality. Naofumi nods and says that kind of makes sense, as she continues to explain, saying that the queen has heard about their misjudgment of Naofumi as being one of the heroes. Yes, he is not the shield hero, and frankly, they don't even know how badly they would have treated the shield hero in the first place, but on top of that, he's not the shield hero, and he is a hero at the end of the day, so he needs to be treated with respect, but Motoyasu refuses this, and many others do as well. It's already gone all around the kingdom that Naofumi is some demi-human, some fake hero, and, well, Naofumi doesn't necessarily care. He appreciates the thought, at least from Melty, but he explains that he doesn't have anything to do with them at the moment. He doesn't really care. And Melty just shrugs, saying that she's here if, well, he needs her, and that he can ask for anything. And he thanks her for that, but he says he'll be heading off somewhere else, and that he'll have to be visiting Loot Village first, but then he'll be heading off to Shield Freedom. And she's shocked to hear this. Shield Freedom? Why there? Naofumi explains that basically there's these other waves that are occurring over there as well, and he wants to progressively help all the nations and wants to train somebody that can help them. He might not be the best at teaching. He might not be the best at really learning new things, but at least Naofumi can more or less teach, kind of. It might take a while, but he might be able to teach someone in Loot Village to be strong enough to fight, in which he flies off after speaking with Melty for a little bit and saying that he'd come and visit to make sure that everything is settled down and that she's fine. He leaves with Raphtalia and Kefla, and he begins to basically walk through Loot Village speaking with the people there, running into this somewhat old lady who supposedly he helped during his travels. He explains that he doesn't even remember really helping anybody, but she says that in some delivery that he had, or at least during a delivery of the wealthy trader, he stopped to buy her house. And Naofumi says he really doesn't even remember this, But Rautalia says that it did happen. It was just cut out of canon because, well, what's the point of talking about it in a story? Okay, kind of breaking the fourth wall there, but beyond the point. She begins to speak with him and talks about this whole training aspect of things and saying that her power, it may be strong, but it's nothing compared to Naofumi. And Naofumi says that if she has anybody in mind to train, that he wouldn't mind at all. And she actually has a daughter that is pretty well versed in martial arts, and well, she wants to learn how to use ki. So he decides to teach her over the next day or so. With 48 hours before this next wave, they are kind of on crunch time, but hopefully the teaching in the next 24 hours will be enough for basically her daughter to be able to be strong enough to protect Lu Village with the combination of everybody else. And frankly, Naofumi feels like she will definitely be enough. He thanks all of them for the help, especially over all this time, and promises to come visit, but frankly, Schildfrieden will be his home for now. He heads off, flying away with Rautalia and Kefla, and they arrive at Schildfrieden to basically applause. They all missed him, saying that they're happy to see him here, especially with the wave approaching soon, and now that they have his help, this wave should be easy peasy. They basically flaunt that they've been preparing a giant army for him, and basically to help out with the wave attack. And he's shocked to see this. Wait, they normally do this? He questions. He says, do the other countries do this as well? And they say, yeah, it's kind of a normal thing. Even when they have the hero or one hero, they always make sure that they have an army to accompany them because, well, it's their fight as well. And, well, Naofumi is kind of like annoyed by this and frustrated because Melromarc doesn't help them at all, basically. Well, maybe helps the others, but very little. He's heard that they got their own party members, but frankly, that's not enough for these waves. It's pretty overwhelming. And the people at Schildfrieden actually realize that Rautalia and Kefla are at a level of 40. They say that they can actually have their class upgrades, in which Naofumi doesn't really understand, but agrees to do so. When they have their class upgrades, Kefla is able to choose down a pathway, and so is Rautalia. And Kefla chooses something that is very intriguing, and it's something by the name of Super Demi-Human. It seems kinda odd. Naofumi doesn't really understand it. He does see her as a Saiyan. That's what it feels like, and that's how she acts in the first place. Very brute-like. She's not calming very much. She's very straightforward with her actions. Very straightforward with Naofumi. Naofumi even says that she is very Saiyan-like, and he understands the whole idea of the demi-human race, but he does say that this super demi-human might involve being a super Saiyan. He's heard stuff about it, not too much, he's not too well informed on it, but he's heard of what's known as a Super Saiyan, seemingly like one of the strongest Saiyans that will ever live, and that they will basically get this overwhelming sense of power. And she tries to unlock this so-called Super Demi-Human or Super Saiyan and tries to awaken it, but can't. It's such a struggle. It might take something else for her to actually do so. And he talks to Rautalia, and Rautalia says that she actually chose a different route, that she wasn't really offered Super Demi-Human, but she was offered something pretty interesting by the name of Kaioken. She doesn't really know what that is, but it seems to be described as some multiplier that will put strain on her body. And that's also intriguing to Naofumi as well. A multiplier in itself is really good, and if she's able to use it at decent rates, maybe she can actually have really good benefits from it. And they actually have gone down really relatively good paths, at least for the moment. With that done though, 24 hours is up faster than they can possibly believe, and the catastrophe then arrives once again. Immediately, Naofumi, Rautalia, and Kefla head to the center of the wave to fight the boss monster. But when they arrive, it's simply just a ship. It seems like there's a Dutchman, but they're able to reveal the main boss relatively quick, and it's actually just some Soul Eaters. The Soul Eaters have no chance against Naofumi and them. It's kind of underwhelming of some sorts. Naofumi and the rest of his party don't use like magic or SP and stuff like that. It's a lot of brute strength and Ki Blast, of course, but a lot of their tactician is from their fists, their fighting styles and stuff like that. So the Soul Eaters aren't very effective, and the wave, unclimactically enough, is basically over in an instant. And Shield Frieden is happy once again, saying that he did an amazing job. But Naofumi decides that he's not going to sit here and talk. He's going to go fly over to the other countries. Maybe they need help as well. He does just that, flying over to another country by the name of Siltveld. And when he arrives, the wave is still going on. He flies toward the main boss monster, seeing multiple people dying. Naofumi immediately charges through the monster, and it's some giant flame-like bird, like a phoenix. He sends his whole body through it, killing it in an instant and basically scorching it with a ki blast. He begins flying from country to country, cleaning up the waves over there, and in about an hour, he's actually finished up. If he was just flying at full speed, obviously he can loop around the world probably in relatively quick time, but frankly, he needs to kill the things and protect other people as well, so he couldn't really do that at insane speeds. So about an hour sounds about right. Him and his party have gained insane amounts of levels from doing this though. Brautalia and also Kefla are currently at a level of 55. They were just at a level of 40, but since they were basically blitzing through tons of countries' monsters, it gave them insane amounts of levels. Even Naofumi, currently at a level of 70. Now he's gaining XP a little bit slower, but he's still gaining a decent amount of levels, especially with this type of training. This is definitely something insane. But he heads over to Melremark, thinking that their wave would be over as well, maybe to check on Loot Village. But when they arrive, they see that Loot Village is still fending off the monsters. But not only that, I mean, they're not having too hard of a time, but it's been hours. It's been almost 2, maybe even 3 hours at this point, and Melremark's wave is still not over. Naofumi heads over, and he sees something that he wasn't expecting at all. He sees the other 3 heroes down for the count. One of them, Motoyasu, dead, and the other 2 mortally injured, really bad wounds all over their body. He looks toward who did this, and her name is Glass, a woman that is wielding 2 twin-bladed war fans, wearing a black kimono, is standing above them and looks toward Naofumi. Naofumi dashes forward and stands directly in front of her. She swings one of her bladed fans at him, but he easily blocks it and grabs her by the throat, throwing her back toward the ship. Brautalia and Kefla fly over to the other heroes to check if they're okay. Obviously, Naofumi doesn't have the biggest, has a pretty bad quarrel against them, but he's also not completely black-hearted. He's not going to just think that, oh, well, I'm just going to let him die. At least not right now. He's not completely corrupted by any means or something of that manner. He actually begins to fight off Glass, and it's not too difficult for him, but the fact that they've already lost a hero, and 2 of them are basically on the bridge of death, is not a good sign. He lands crucial blows into Glass's stomach, face, and even blasts her in the chest using a ki blast, and she, at a last-ditch effort, shoots these laser-like beams, these light beams, right back at the heroes that are on the ground, killing the other 2. Naofumi is shocked to see this, slamming Glass down to the ground and begins to pummel her, making a crater beneath the ground as she is losing every bit of energy she has. Glass is on the ground, bleeding, about to die, but she's able to muster up strength to basically shoot something at Naofumi's eyes, blinding him slightly, and he begins to shoot ki blasts randomly, trying to find where Glass is, trying to strike her to finish the job. But Glass, injured, broken ribs and all, and honestly multiple broken bones, is able to escape back into the wave. She got away with just the skin of her teeth, barely being able to survive the onslaught from Naofumi. Naofumi wipes his eyes, and his eyes begin to glow yellow. He is pissed. Once he left, he had to save 3 other countries, more or less 4. He was helping all these other countries, but they couldn't handle themselves. That's it. Immediately, now they're all dead. 3 of them down for the count, and now it's all up to Naofumi? Is that really what it's gonna come down to? Naofumi is visibly mad. Raphtalia and obviously Kefla come over and try to comfort him, telling him to calm down, that it's okay, they'll figure it out. But Naofumi begins to fly up toward the ship and looks at basically the bodies of the other three, dead, gone. He looks at the parties of the three heroes that were once alive and tells them that they were useless. These heroes, they were useless. They don't matter. That they couldn't even defend one country. Naofumi was out there defending multiple. He shoots a ki blast, incinerating the bodies of the other three heroes, and his skin feels like it's boiling. Like he is at such anger, at the point of just anguish and madness, that he's going to just explode. He begins to scream as his hair turns yellow, and it seems like on top of his Ikari form, he's unlocked something by the name of Super Saiyan. He's unlocked a new form, and he's losing control. Begins to blast, just sending blasts everywhere, and even catches the other party members from the former alive heroes in those blasts. One mouth beam is all it took, and all of the party members are gone, dead. Mine, on the other hand, saw how badly they were losing, and she's already at the kingdom. She ran away right when things got tough. Naofumi is pissed, looking toward the kingdom, and he begins charging up a blast in his right hand and begins to point it toward the kingdom, but Raphtalia and Kefla hug him, telling him to calm down, saying that they can't do that. It's not the way that he wanted to go about things. He begins to twitch as if he's trying to revert back to normal, and he shoots the blast right back at the ground, exploding basically everything nearby, but not hurting anybody else. Well, the other people that he killed already are dead, incinerated completely, but in terms of the blast that was aimed at the kingdom, he didn't shoot that blast. Well, Kefla, Raphtalia, Naofumi, they collapsed to the ground. They were stressed out, especially trying to get Naofumi back to his senses, because if they lost him, it would have been over. Everything would have died here, and they're not strong enough to protect these people from the waves, especially if the waves truly get stronger when the other heroes die. So Naofumi decides that, well, it's time to take a visit to the king and talk to his little princess. They go over immediately, and the king begins to accuse Naofumi of killing the other heroes, but he points a blast at the king and shoots it right by his head. Don't play with me. This is not the time. I don't have any remorse for you. I will kill you right here and now, if I so choose. But I will tell you, I wasn't the one that killed them. It was someone from the wave, a last-ditch effort to try to get back at them. I don't even know what her name was, but she wanted them dead for some reason, and it took 3 of them, and they couldn't do anything. I defended every other country with my party, and we did it with ease. But they struggled that hard against one wave from one country. Naofumi is livid at this point and is screaming at the king. Mind tells him to shut his mouth, that a person like him, a demi-human, a useless piece of... But as she says this, she's cut off. Well, literally cut off. She gets both of her arms cut off, one by Raphtalia and one by Kefla. They immediately pile drive Mine into the ground and pin her to the ground using some key-like attack, but it's more like some key manipulation, basically pinning her to the ground as she screams in agony. Raphtalia seals the wounds by using her ki and the heat from it and leaves her on the ground. The king is shocked to see this, and well, Naofumi says that, well, he or she's lucky that Naofumi didn't attack her, because Naofumi wouldn't have just took her arms, he would have took her life. And he wants to do it to the king as well. He wants to take his life as well, but he won't, out of respect to the youngest daughter of his. He won't. But just know that he won't be protecting Melromark. That won't be his main priority, so they'll have to figure something out. Just maybe they will. There's no guarantee. He begins to leave, but as he leaves, someone stops him. It's a shadow. A shadow gives him something, this weird emblem, and he looks back toward the shadow, but she's gone. He looks and throws it to Raphtalia and asks her if she can figure that out. And while they're walking out of the kingdom, she begins explaining that it must have something to do with the kingdom, or the kingdom's relationship with the church. The church? You mean the Church of the Three Heroes? What? They're corrupt as well? I mean, wouldn't surprise me at this point. I should just nuke this whole kingdom. Raphtalia cuts him off, saying that wasn't the time to do so. They couldn't just destroy the kingdom. They need information from them, especially something like this. And frankly, the queen and also the youngest princess hasn't done anything to them, so their lives do matter as well. Naofumi agrees and apologizes for the comment he just made, but now there's an overlying problem. The waves supposedly will get a lot harder, a lot more difficult, and on top of that, they have to deal with a corrupt church that may be trying to take over the Melremark kingdom to make them even worse. But that is a wrap for part 1 out of 2 of What If Naofumi Was the Legendary Saiyan Hero. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, sub, comment down below, leave any suggestions for future what ifs, all that good stuff. And I hope y'all enjoyed. I've been enjoying making what ifs a lot more. As some of y'all know, my Golden Texting Stories channel got demonetized, so all my time and effort is going into this channel and another channel that I'm currently doing. But I will not be promoting that on this because it's very different content than any content I'll be doing normally. So I just want to keep that to my own devices for the next month, and I want to see what I can do with it. But yeah, with that said, I hope all y'all enjoy, and I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.
I don't wanna waste what's left. And